about every one of us have been to a wedding party. We have several parents in the congregation who have recently hosted wedding parties. As Marion said on Tuesday, Tom and I will celebrate our 36th wedding anniversary, and I've been thinking a lot, not only about the marriage, but all the things that have happened since. Now, the party after our wedding was very Methodist, if you know what I mean, and was held right after the wedding in the church hall. The meal was prepared with care by our families, who were anxious that all went well. And it kind of did, and it kind of didn't. We, of course, had counted all the RSVPs, but it was also an open church wedding, which meant that anyone could attend. We estimated the number of people who might be there, but we didn't estimate very well. Now, we were thrilled that so many shared our day with us. But by the time we got through the traditional receiving line and the pictures, 2.5 hours had passed. Tom and I went down to the church hall, only to discover that all the food was gone. My second mother timidly came up to our table with 2 little bowls of fruit and offered them to us. The only relief to our hunger that day was our wedding cake, and we ate a bunch of that. One of the concerns for most wedding parties is, will there be enough food and will there be enough to drink? Things haven't changed much in that matter over the centuries. It was also a concern in the 1st century when Mary and Jesus were invited to a wedding in the town of Cana in Galilee. Now, in that culture, wedding celebrations would last 3 to 7 days, and I don't think any of us could handle that today. They were kind of potluck affairs, with everyone bringing lots and lots to share. The women would do the baking and the cooking, and the men would bring the wine. The hosts would provide the main dishes. People came and went. They visited with one another for hours and met people that they didn't know. In the evening, the bridal party would process through the town so that people could wish them well. And at night, they slept, only to begin again the next evening with music and dancing and all the festivities. The wine at the feast in that time would be served in a very strict pattern of propriety. Each man's offering was served in turn, with the most honored male guests' wine being served first. And then they would kind of go down the line. So, for example, the first rounds of wine would be from the fathers of the bridal party, and then maybe the honored family guests, like grandfathers or uncles, and then maybe town officials and close friends, and finally, acquaintances. The most honored men at the wedding would, of course, bring the best wine, and the poorer families and friends would bring what they could afford, which was probably a lesser quality. Religious men who frowned on all this wine drinking would often be at the end of the list because they always brought watered down wine. The steward at the wedding held a very important position. and was in charge of this etiquette and had to keep everything in order and serve correctly. He would announce to the wedding guest whose wine was being served when. This is why the steward in our story was so surprised when, late in the festivities, the wine that was presented was the very best of all. The wedding at Cana is Jesus' first miracle and is only found in the Gospel of John. Last week I shared how John uses a lot of symbolism in his writing and is not always worried about the details that he finds unimportant. The feast, or a banquet, is a symbol used throughout the Bible as a metaphor for the end times, when God gathers all to a heavenly banquet where no one is turned away and you only need to come to be welcomed. Jesus uses this metaphor several times in his ministry. John only tells us that Mary and Jesus were invited. He doesn't tell us who was getting married, and the honored couple isn't even mentioned in his story. I'm guessing it was an open invitation because the disciples attended too, and at the very end, we know that Jesus' brothers and sisters were there. One of the Coptic Gospels says that the groom was one of Mary's nephews, but we have no idea if that was true. But if it is true, it would make sense that Mary was keeping an eye on the festivities to make sure that everything was going well. Thus she noticed the unusual thing that the wine was running low. Mary says to her son, "Jesus, the wine is running low." There might have been some urgency in her voice because it would have been embarrassing for the hosts. And besides that, like I said, it was very unusual. Jesus addresses her. "Woman," he says. Now, sometimes this is read as a harsh greeting, like, "Woman, what does that have to do with you and me?" We wonder why he didn't say mother or mom. But we misunderstand Jesus' tone when he uses the word woman. First of all, John never mentions the mother of Jesus' name throughout his whole gospel. Secondly, this may be a quirky John thing. The term woman was actually used with great respect by Jesus. And Jesus uses it many times throughout the gospel to honor the female person that he's talking with. Jesus said that his hour, his time had not yet come. He could be referring to his time of coming out as the Messiah, or he might have just meant that the time for serving his wine at the banquet had not yet come. Or maybe the first is hidden in the second. We don't know because John's pretty vague at this point. And Mary's response to what Jesus said was to tell the servants to do whatever Jesus told them to do. Mary was supportive of Jesus. She wasn't going over his head or behind his back. She trusted him to do what was necessary because she was one of the few people at that feast who knew who he was. Jesus told the servants to fill these huge jars of water, which had been set aside for the ritual of washing hands. And you probably realized that at a multiple day feast, people would have to wash their hands often. They filled them with water, and Jesus told them to draw some out and take it to the steward to taste. The water had turned to wine, but only the servants knew. The lowly ones, the people that were not even seen by the guests, knew. The steward raved about the wine to the groom because it was the best wine of all the feast instead of the lowest quality which he expected. John tells us that this was Jesus' first miracle or first sign. When the party was over, Jesus and Mary, along with his disciples and Jesus' brothers and sisters, went on to the town of Capernaum, which would be Jesus' base camp, and stayed there for a couple of days. Now, what happened at that wedding in Cana was much more than turning water into wine, although that was wonderful, but it was so much more than that. It was much more than saving the wedding party from disaster. It was a miracle. It was a sign. Jesus' miracles were not wonders to astound. They were not wonders to impress people, or even to get people to believe in him. Jesus' miracles were always signs that pointed to God. They pointed to God. They pointed to the Creator, not the created. They pointed to the one who loves us, not the miracle worker. And this is an important lesson to keep in mind when we share Jesus with others. Sometimes, we use the word miracle a little too casually. It was a miracle that I found a parking space. It was a miracle that we got there on time. It was a miracle that we won the game. Those kinds of things are not miracles. They are luck, or pleasant surprises, or wonderful happenstances, but they are not miracles because they don't point to God. And that's what a true miracle does. Miracles shatter expectations and explanations. The overabundance of the best wine at the wedding at Cana was a miracle, a sign pointing to God alone. It was extravagant. It shattered rationalizations, and it could not be explained by any who experienced it. The point of the miracle stories of Jesus is that they break the bonds of normal, the usual, the predictable things in our lives. They break these boundaries of convention and mark the inbreaking of God into our lives in a spectacular way. Miracles open our eyes to the generosity and the lavishness of God. And it is true that there are miracles all around us if we are aware spiritually. Nature is a miracle when it breathtakingly points to God. A child is a miracle when we see the creativity of God in her. Love can be a miracle only if it points us to the marvelous presence of God in our lives. Even difficulties can be miracles when they point us not to a great prophet or an interesting character, but to God, whose love is too marvelous to explain. And that's why we call what happened on the cross a miracle. One of the things that we can do as disciples of Jesus Christ is to connect the God that we see in the miracles around us with others. We can share with others how we see God in the things around us and open up that conversation to talk about miracles. We believe in miracles. And as we said in our last hymn, our joy is to share those stories with others. As we go forth to do that, let's be open to what is around us, as well as open to the opportunities to speak God's presence to others.